Welcome back to Ask Uncle Lee. It's Wednesday again. So, as always, if you've got any questions, anything you want a different perspective on or some help with, just put them in the comments below, and I'll add them to the list. So let's get going with our first question. Join me over on Patreon, where you will find all of my books, services, and courses in the shop, blog posts, and the various tiers which you can explore. You can get magical training in the Temple of the Horned Serpent First Degree, and joining as a free member gets you started with that, or explore the Magical Journal and the Egregore Project. Hope to see you there. Okay, so the first question, let me just, I'm in the right spot. Okay, first question is from Kiawata1. Hi Lee, I have a question. I work with the Dukante hierarchy almost exclusively and love the sigils. However, there's scant information about Dukante himself and where the sigils originated from. I've read two different accounts. One claims they were obtained during various ascension rituals, whilst another source claims the Dukante sigils are a set of magical symbols used in chaos magic, a modern form of magic developed in the 1970s. They were created by Austin Osman Spare, a British occultist and artist. Can you share any further information about either Dukante and or the sigils? Of course, I don't expect you to unmask Dukante's real identity or share information that's purposely hidden. Unfortunately, I can't give you very much information about this. You would have to go to Stephanie herself, to S. Connolly. I am not part of the of their coven, of their order, of their whatever title they give it. I'm not part of the generational demonolatry, and was not connected in any way, shape or form with that or with Dukante. I practiced my own form of, we could call it demonolatry, long before S. Connolly actually started publishing books. But that's really where the whole thing of demonolatry, or the term, actually started, was with S. Connolly's books. And, that's where it all came out of. And people like me, I assume other people like me, but I personally am very grateful for what she's done and the information she's brought across, and this term that we can actually use now, because previously it was a bit, it was very much based in Solomonic magic, in the actual, format and way that the ceremonial magicians used to do it, which was very much based in the Solomonic grimoires. And for people like me, that didn't sit right, but we still wanted to work with these spirits. So people like R.N. Leach, Rufus Opus, Carol Pope Runyon, there were a couple others, Jake Strand Kent. These people were those who were kind of exploring the idea of Solomonic grimoires, the demons within them, the spirits within them, all of these grimoires that were coming out 400 or 500 years ago, from a kind of a basis that wasn't as disrespectful, wasn't as punishing, respecting these entities as being ancient beings, as being originally gods and goddesses. And actually exploring things a bit further. I mean, if you go into Jake Strand Kent, there's a great emphasis on the Goetia itself, and that's not just based on what we understand, what we have this as this title of Ars Goetia or Goetia. That is really, Goetia is a Greek word that means witchcraft, but the whole basis to it, originally revolved largely around death rites and things like that. So it had a basis somewhere, and there was a magic that formed around it, and it just continued and evolved from there. And the title of the book is just witchcraft, basically. But we kind of relate the That's why I say Goetia instead of Goetia, because then I'm referring to the actual book itself with the 72 spirits in it. But I'm starting to go off track and go down a rabbit hole now. I'm starting to forget what I was talking about. So anyway, all these people, this was before Stephanie or S. Connolly actually started writing and publishing, and she didn't even mean to do that publicly. Apparently, from what I've been told and heard, it was actually the first book, the complete. I'm forgetting the title. Complete Book of Demonolatry. That was actually supposed to be a coven book for members of generational demonolatry, or part of the houses and stuff. And it wasn't supposed to go public, but it apparently did. And then it just evolved from there. So, when it comes to Dukante, she is really the only avenue in that direction, if you want to get specific. Otherwise, it's just speculation. It really is speculation. And I kind of like it myself. It kind of gives it an air of mysticism. So yeah, you definitely have to go down that avenue to find more information about Dukante himself. And, whether it was all made up, I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. We have something which is workable. A lot of people kind of go, oh, but this is a lie. It was all based on rubbish and falsehoods and everything else. Who cares? Does it work? That's the main thing. Does it work? And yes, it bloody well does, and works extremely well. Now, okay, so that's the first part. I cannot really give you any information about Dukante himself or generational demonolatry because I'm not part of that. Just to continue from what I was saying before, I was practicing this stuff before Connolly started publishing and brought this term demonolatry, and then this came along, and all of a sudden people are exposed to this idea that we can actually be respectful to the spirits, to the demons, and the interpretation of demon going back to the Latin and the Greek and the roots there and everything else. It made life a lot easier for a lot of us, and now all of a sudden we've got this term, demonolatry, that we can start using in order to make it easier to communicate with people. So I am very, very grateful to S. Connolly for all of that. And, the actual system that's come across is very, very workable and works extremely well. So you can start with that and you can evolve into something different. My own practice doesn't mirror Connolly's at all, very, very little actually. But the information's there, it's accessible, and it's great information. Now, where did they actually come from? I seriously doubt it was from chaos magic. I haven't heard myself of any connections with Spare in this regard. Yes, Spare did. The focus of modern sigil magic came from Spare, really. And chaos magic kind of evolved. Part of chaos magic evolved out of that. But I mean, chaos magic started in the 70s. I think it was the 70s with Ray Sherwin. Sorry, Peter J. Carroll. Yes, sorry, I've got Phil Hine in my head, and I know it wasn't Phil Hine. Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin. There we go. That's where chaos magic started, and that was in the 70s. It might have been the 60s, but as far as I remember, the 70s. So that was quite recent. And if you are to believe the words of S. Connolly, then generational demonolatry goes back generations, long before chaos magic. So it was a family-based tradition, and it got passed on to members of the family. And don't think that family has to necessarily mean blood relatives. Family involves a lot of different people. So it was a very family-orientated tradition, and it was kept very secret. It was kept quiet because of possible persecution, understandably. So that's why it wasn't brought out into the open until 15 odd years ago. So keep losing my train of thought here. What was I talking about? Chaos magic. It's not connected to chaos magic. Let's put it that way. Just not connected to it. There's no information about Dukante himself. It is kept private because that's the wishes of the family, of the people who are involved. And S. Connolly has kept to that word, has kept that oath, so it's not going to be revealed. Don't expect it to. Don't think it ever will. And I don't even know why that would be important anyway. So yes, the sigils, the ends that came from that era where Dukante was still kind of keeping things private. It is said that they came from ascension rites, and yes, they probably did. Just like, when other people were working 400 or 500 years ago and writing these grimoires that we consider to be Solomonic because they were dedicated to King Solomon, probably the same thing. They went and spoke to the spirits themselves, and they were given a seal that they can call that spirit with. Same thing, they were given the name. It's not like it just popped out of thin air or anything like that. So same thing here. So somebody went into their realm, spoke to them directly, asked for a seal or a sigil, which they could use in this case publicly, because these are now public sigils, and not usually it's a private thing. You ask, you interact with the spirits. You ask for a seal or a name or something, a phrase, which you can then use to communicate with them in the future. And it's usually very personal to you, between you and the spirit, and nobody else knows it. But these have become very public, and a lot of others have since, this all came to the public light, into the public face. But yeah, my personal opinion is they came from ascension rituals. They were given to the people who were working directly with the spirits, and nothing to do with chaos magic. And that's really it. I don't have any information about Dukante himself. I'm not connected to that. Okay, so I think that clears that up anyway. All right, next question then is this one from Laura 19858. Hi Lee, I hope you're well. Yeah, I am, thank you very much. I hope you are too. Have you ever worked with the Egyptian god Set or Seth, or have any guidance on this deity at all? Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I work the Egyptian tree of life, and yes, life work study, but very well worth it. Has changed and changing my life. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't seem to have a lot of answers today, and I'm not sure why I included this and didn't just reply to you in the comments, to be honest with you. But it's here, so I thought I should add it. I've never have actually worked with Kemeticism in the Egyptian tradition. I know a lot of people are attracted to Kemeticism, and I understand why, but for some reason I never have been. They have never ever come up for me. Even I was never interested in Greek mythology and things like that, but Hecate and Pan popped up. They are what we would call my witch father and witch mother. But I've never been interested in Greek mythology, and now I kind of am pushed in that direction because they're kind of going, well, you have to be, sorry. But it's not really, it's more universal. But yeah, the Egyptian gods have never ever approached me, have never come up for me. I have never had an interest in it at all, so I can't really help you very much with this, unfortunately. I am very sorry. I would be careful which avenues you go down in regards to this god itself. It does tend to lead a lot to, as if you watched one of my previous Monday videos this month, it does tend to lead a lot to orders, groups that do have some footing in neo-Nazism. and usually revolve around the vampiric rites and things like that, which, there's nothing, I've spoken about vampirism before, absolutely nothing wrong with psychic vampirism. I knew some very, very good guys who were vampires in the past, and they had no connection with any of this. But just be careful when you're going down this avenue with this particular deity, because you can fall into the trap of those groups. Just keep your eyes open. But unfortunately, sorry, I don't really have much information about that. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so next question is from Gills666. I actually misworded my question. I meant the Tree of Life. How do you actually use it, specifically the various Sephiroth? I see they have various attributes, etc., but what do I do with it? Knowing that Sephiroth means something, I'm not sure how to equate that into something of value to me. I'll take a look at the books you recommend, assuming the answer is in there. Okay, I'm going to also ask this question of Eucorbus G. Swat himself. I'm going to have him on. We're going to talk about Sangha Hostility in one show, and we're going to talk about Practical Kabbalah and his books in another show. So I'm going to actually pose this question to him also, because that's, best thing. Go to the source. Go to the person who knows who knows the most about the topic. Hopefully I'll have him on. Should have him on in September anyway. All right. So my own personal reference or interpretation of this, what you do with these Sephiroth, they do have these attributes. They have particular energies about them. So, we may equate Mars with Gavura, because Gavura is severity and it's got that martial type of energy. We associate the sun with Tiferet, because Tiferet is the aspect which is connected with that type of, the sun is kind of like about the ego self, about the self, and this is very much about the connecting with the Holy Guardian Angel. When you get to Tiferet, you kind of connect with that. And also, we have the association with Archangel Michael here, which is, very much associated with the element of fire, which can be then associated with the sun. So you've got all these attributes and associations that we have, because the Sphira themselves are individually hold a particular energy about them, they're actually worlds within worlds type of thing. Now, two ways that I have worked with the tree or the Sephiroth themselves in the past is to open them. There's two ways to do this, and that one is to just open the sphere itself and let the energy come in and fill you, and you kind of radiate that kind of energy. So if you were to, I'm going to stick with Gavura and Tiferet, if you open Tiferet, you kind of become beauty, and when people interact with you, they kind of love you just immediately. They don't even have to know you, they just like you immediately because you are this beautiful being. If you then open Gavura, then all of a sudden you become abrasive and angry. That's how people kind of view you and interact with you, and they don't like you all of a sudden. So, you can change your entire your entire persona just by opening these gates and letting the energy actually flood into you. Another way, and I'm not going to reveal how to kind of do all of this, because I would say it's kind of advanced. You can find the information in Eucorbus's books. But this is a public space, and a lot of people are still just starting out, beginners, and they can, kind of opening gates and things. Dealing with raw energy and raw power can be a bit disconcerting and unbalancing. Can be damaging actually. So I don't want to kind of reveal that on here. But the other way I do it is to actually travel down to the sphere that I want to work in, and then actually step into that particular world. So you go, you move into the world itself by again opening the gate to it, and you just say Tiferet, for instance, you walk into the world of Tiferet, and it's an entire world. It's like working in the astral, or working with an astral temple, or something like that. And it's an entire world. It's not just like a ball of energy. It's a world in itself. And so you walk in, you can interact with all of the beings and everything else within this world. And what you'll also find is that there is a tree inside each sphere. So you can go into Tiferet, and then you can go into another one. You can go into Hod inside Tiferet, for instance. And you can do particular work. So now you're starting to get a combination of different energies that you can then work with. And you can do magic in this space. I sort of find a space where I can do the magic, and then I do whatever I need to. You can actually build something in that space if you want to, for yourself. If you're going there quite often, build a space for yourself, and then do your magic in there. Now, I said you can go into the tree within a Sephirah. There is also the understanding that this becomes fractal. So when you go, I used the example of going into Hod in Tiferet. When you're in there, you're in another world, and you can then go into the tree within that world. So let's go to Yesod. You can go to Yesod in Hod in Tiferet, and then continue on and on and on and on. So it can go infinitely. I don't do that myself. I kind of just stick to a tree in each Sephirah, and I combine two different energies to do whatever work I want to do. So that's another way of working it. There's so many ways you can work with a tree, and this is why I say it. It's like, it's impossible to actually answer on a show like this, because this kind of information fills libraries. It's not something you can easily kind of just say, oh well, you can do X, Y, and Z, and that's it. But there's so many ways. You can. There's a method of, or mostly with the paths between the trees, is using the tarot, the actual trump cards, the major arcana, and you use them as gateways, portals, and each tarot trump card relates to a particular path on the tree. So you kind of step into the tarot, the image. You use it as kind of a door. You step into it, and then you start walking around in that world again. This is where the whole idea of path working comes from. So there's just so many ways you can do it, really. You'll have to go exploring. It's really a case of just start exploring and see how far you can get in one lifetime. It's impossible to answer. But I'll ask the question again from Jacobus, and we can see what answer he can come up. Probably a better answer than I can come up with anyway. Alright, so I'm going to end that today, and I do apologise for the person who asked about the set. Really, I'm really not sure about Laura. Sorry, Laura, I'm very sorry. Can't really give you much of an answer there. But anyway, so that's it for this week, and I'll see you next week for more. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye bye.